Hey Techies! In the landscape of the 1980s video games, where pixels flickered like distant stars against the void, Mega Man was a brilliant new constellation that forever altered the cosmos of gaming. Debuting in 1987 on the Nintendo Entertainment System, this unassuming hero with his blue armor and relentless drive burst onto the scene at a time when players were clamoring for something fresh yet timeless. His story was more than just another adventure on the screen though. It was a testament to the creativity and vision of Capcom, who turned a humble platformer into a saga that would define an entire genre. Mega Man introduced players to a futuristic world where robots clash not just for survival but for ideals. At its heart was a battle between the altruistic Dr. Light and the nefarious Dr. Wily, with the Blue Bomber serving as humanity's defender. The game's innovative structure, which granted players the freedom to tackle levels in any order, shattered linear conventions and empowered players to craft their own path to victory. Today, we go back through the tech timeline to discuss the birth of the Blue Bomber, as well as his enduring impact on gaming and pop culture as a whole. Before we go on, please forgive me if I butcher any of the names, as I'm trying my best to say all of these names properly. The genesis of Mega Man began with a small team at Capcom. Leading this ensemble was Akira Kitamura, a visionary who saw the potential for platform gaming that would challenge conventions while offering players an unparalleled level of engagement. Joined by the now legendary Keiji Inafune, whose artwork would shape Mega Man's iconic look, the team was tasked with bringing to life a new type of hero, a robot who wasn't a metal monstrosity, but a relatable character with a boyish charm. Capcom was known for its arcade hits, but Mega Man required a different touch. The developers worked diligently to craft a title that would leverage the power of the NES, creating vibrant, cartoon-like graphics that would appeal to the broad audience. The character's color palette, dominated by shades of blue due to technical constraints, became an iconic hallmark. It wasn't just a decision of the style, but one dictated by the NES's limited color output, with Mega Man's signature blue chosen because it was offered the most varied shades. What truly set Mega Man apart was its innovative gameplay design. Kitamura Inafune envisioned a structure where players could tackle levels in any order, a revolutionary concept at the time when linear progression was the norm. Each of the 6 robot masters, created by Dr. Wily to spread chaos, would offer a unique challenge and yield a special weapon upon defeat. The player would then use the weapon strategically, exploiting each boss's specific weakness in a rock-paper-scissors-like system. We'll dive deeper into these systems in just a moment. Music was also pivotal to the development process, with composer Maname Matsume crafting a score that became the lifeblood of Mega Man's world. Her melodies, a blend of adrenaline-pumping beats and melodic hooks, provided a distinct rhythm that mirrored the game's high-octane energy. Despite a limited budget and compressed production timeline, the team persevered, infusing Mega Man with a level of detail and charm that made it stand out in the crowded platformer genre. While we mentioned the gameplay previously, we wanted to take time here to break down how the game's systems function even more. The magic of Mega Man lies in how it rewrote the rulebook on what platformers could achieve. While the core mechanic of jumping and shooting remained familiar, the game differentiated itself with its daring nonlinear approach, allowing players to choose the order in which they tackled the 6 robot masters. No matter what level you started off with, each level was a world unto itself, themed around the robot master it housed. From the icy wastelands patrolled by Iceman to the searing lava pits ruled by Fireman, these stages were perfectly engineered, featuring distinctive obstacles and layouts that tested a player's reflexes and wit. The design of these levels always felt balanced, demanding timing and precision while it rarely feeling insurmountable, which is probably one of the things that made it so addicting for me to play when I was a kid. Seriously. The weapon system added a layer of strategic depth that hadn't really been seen before. Each robot master, once defeated, would grant Mega Man their signature weapon, a reward that not only marked the player's triumph but also unlocked new gameplay possibilities. For example, defeating Gutsman allowed you to pick up and move large bricks in the level, which could be used to damage enemies or open new paths. These weapons were essential tools that could be used against the remaining bosses, exploiting their specific weaknesses like a carefully assembled arsenal, like using Electman's Thunder Beam to do serious damage to Iceman. Mega Man also featured a tool/weapon called the Magnet Beam that allowed the player to create extra platforms in the level at the cost of special energy. However, the player could only retrieve this by using Gutsman's super arm to move the block in Electman's stage. First-time players were very likely to miss this, but it was yet another thing that added to the replayability of the game overall. Now, beyond the weapons, the game's life system and checkpoints ensured a delicate balance between difficulty and progress. Mega Man had limited lives and faced a brutal reset to the level's start upon losing them all, raising the stakes and creating an experience that was unforgiving yet addictive. This difficulty was softened by the thoughtfully placed checkpoints and health pickups, offering players a fighting chance if they mastered the level's intricacies. One of the most distinctive elements was the unique energy system for special weapons. Each weapon had a limited pool of energy that could only be replenished by picking up power-ups, forcing players to conserve ammo and think twice before unleashing their arsenal indiscriminately. This dynamic ensured that special weapons were used thoughtfully rather than as an I win button, if you know what I mean. The gameplay systems of Mega Man were a perfect combo of strategic and ingenuity that kept players on their toes for a whole playthrough. It forged a legacy where creativity was rewarded, perseverance was crucial, and experimentation was the key to unraveling the game's mysteries. Well, that was a mouthful. Mega Man was unleashed upon the gaming world in December of 1987, a time when the NES was solidifying its dominance as the premier home console. Despite being an unassuming title from Capcom, a company better known for its arcade hits like Ghosts and Goblins, Mega Man represented a bold attempt to blend the best of arcade sensibilities with a deeper, more intricate gameplay experience. Now, initial sales were modest to say the least. As the game launched without much fanfare, its box art, often cited as one of the worst in video game history, definitely didn't help the matters, featuring a bizarre, awkwardly posed figure that barely resembled the in-game Mega Man. It confused prospective players rather than enticing them. I mean, look at this box art. It's just uncomfortable to look at. Nevertheless, word of mouth quickly spread among gamers, and those who dared to look beyond the box were rewarded with a game that surpassed their expectations. Critics and players alike were captivated by the title's unique structure and inventive gameplay. They lauded its non-linear level selection, distinctive robot master characters, and the thrill of gaining their abilities upon defeating them. The game's colorful pixel art and tight controls were particularly praised, giving Mega Man an immediacy and responsiveness that made every jump, shot, and slide feel intuitive. Now, as great as this game was, some found the game's difficulty to be unforgiving, particularly with its scarcity of checkpoints and the necessity to replay levels from scratch upon losing all lives. Others criticized the length of the game, noting that experienced players could defeat all 6 robot masters and confront Dr. Wily's fortress in a relatively short time. Yet, even the harshest of these critiques couldn't overshadow the sheer joy that Mega Man brought to the NES. Yet again, Mega Man wasn't an immediate commercial success. It proved to be an enduring one though, with steady sales and positive reviews over time. As the series expanded and became a beloved staple of the platforming genre, this debut title was recognized for laying a solid foundation that would shape the franchise's future. Ultimately, it became a classic, displaying Capcom's technical prowess and showing that risk-taking was necessary to push the medium forward. Now, Mega Man's impact rippled outward, touching the hearts of players and inspiring generations of developers who admire its blend of challenge, creativity, and rewarding gameplay. At its core, it helped establish the concept of the boss rush, where defeating a series of unique, challenging bosses formed the primary arc of the game. This concept would later influence countless titles across genres, from Castlevania to Dark Souls. The freedom to tackle stages in any order became a hallmark of non-linear design, opening the door for experimentation, allowing players to forge their own paths through the game. The Robot Masters, each endowed with distinctive powers and quirky personalities, elevated video game bosses from mere obstacles to memorable adversaries, with depth and dramatic flair. They paved the way for increasingly creative designs and gameplay mechanics, inspiring iconic villains like the Koopalings in the Super Mario Bros. 3, and the varied bosses of Shovel Knight. The idea of collecting special weapons and using them strategically created a metagame within the experience, where players learned to analyze their opponents and leverage every tool at their disposal. Beyond gameplay mechanics and all that cool stuff, the visual aesthetics and music of Mega Man became iconic, firmly embedding themselves in pop culture. The blue armor, synonymous with the character, has since become an iconic symbol in the gaming world. Manami Matsume's score turned into one of the most beloved soundtracks in gaming, often covered and remixed by musicians worldwide. Mega Man also served as a stepping stone for Capcom's future. The company expanded the series with over a dozen sequels and spin-offs, each building upon the template set by the original game. The lore, initially a simple battle between good and evil, grew into a sprawling universe with expanded characters, backstories, and moral complexity. Eiji Inafune and Akira Kitamura's work on Mega Man shaped Capcom's identity, reinforcing the company's reputation as a creative powerhouse capable of delivering innovative gameplay and experiences. The game's legacy is further underscored by its influence on indie developers who grew up playing the series. Games like Celeste, Hollow Knight, and Cuphead channel the spirit of Mega Man, emphasizing precise platforming, unique bosses, and high-octane action. In the end, Mega Man didn't just launch a franchise, it created a blueprint for platformers that stood the test of time. Did any of you get to play the original Mega Man on NES? What about one of the Mega Man Legacy Collection games that came out in recent years? What is your robot master power? Let us know in the comments below, and make sure you like and subscribe, as these are easy and free ways to support what we do here. And as always, thank you for joining us. Feel free to click on either one of the videos on the screen now and join us for more trips through the tech timeline.